This is the Chefpreneur podcast, where we inspire professional cooks to take on greater risk to build a personal chef business for themselves. Now, here's your host, Andres Hinojosa.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Chefpreneur podcast. I am your host, Andres Hinojosa. Thank you so much again for tuning in today. As with all of our podcasts, we like to start off the episode with a question from one of you. And this week's question comes from Marina Soto. She posted this question in our Facebook group, and our Facebook group is the Chefpreneur Movement Facebook group. If you have not joined the group, get on Facebook, type in the search bar, the Chefpreneur Movement, and you'll see our Facebook group. It's 100% free to join. We just ask you a few questions, and then you're in the group, and we approve you. But this is her question. She said, "Hello, chefs. Any recommendations for how or where to build a logo?" Great question, Marina. This is actually one of the things that we teach in our program. And really, you could find a logo anywhere. But I would say one of the best places to get your logo made is a website called Fiverr.com. And Fiverr.com is really, really simple to use. And so what it is basically a bunch of professionals. They list their services on there. A lot of the services are done by different professionals all over the world, but you can get a logo made in as little as like $25-$30. It's really, really simple to use. You can look at reviews, you can look at sample work. It makes it really, really easy. And Fiverr just takes a small cut. I think they upcharge it like $2 for you to use one of the professionals on Fiverr. And so it ends up being very, very cost effective. And a lot of the professionals, because they're from all over the world, actually, they're always fighting for your business. So my recommendation, and this is a little trick if anybody wants to use Fiverr for anything, because on Fiverr, you can also get people to build a website. You can have them do video editing for you. I mean, you can have them do voiceover. There's a lot of things, copywriting, anything that you really want done, you could pretty much find it on Fiverr. And here's one of the tricks I've used or I've learned to be able to actually get the best results. Instead of going to searching what all professionals offer logo design, Marina, I would highly suggest that you do what you call post a job or post a request. When you post something, this allows a lot of professionals to actually then kind of send you a quote based upon your request. And what happens is they'll actually see other people that are quoting you. And so they'll give you their best price. So maybe on their profile, they'll say, "Hey, I could do a logo for you for $25 or $30. But when you post a request, you can put your budget there. And let's say you just put your budget as $20. A lot of times those same people that are charging $30 or $40 for logos will actually drop their price down to $20 just to get your business. So for any of you that are wanting to use Fiverr to create your logo or to do any kind of work on Fiverr, I highly suggest posting kind of a request and then allowing people to quote your actual job that you're looking to get fulfilled. And that's, in my opinion, the cheapest and the best place to get a logo done. There's people that will do it in as little as 24 hours, which is crazy. Usually when you want it done faster, it does come with a smaller premium price if you were in a pinch. But if you're not in a pinch, a lot of times the standard delivery time is three days or 5 days. And a lot of professionals on there will actually give you unlimited revisions. Just another tip as well, Marina, and whoever else wants to hear this, you also want to make sure that you're getting the AI file or the vector file as well as the PNG file when you're doing a logo. The vector file or the AI file is a file that you will need if you ever wanted to print that on a shirt or have a graphic designer use it for another something else other than just a picture. Obviously, when they deliver the PNG to you, that file or JPEG, that's what you're going to be using on your website. So forth and so on. But you want to make sure you get the source file, which is the AI file or the vector file, so that you can actually use that in the future if you're wanting to do t-shirts and all types of stuff down the road. Hey, Marina, thank you so much for sending us that question through the Facebook group. Again, please join the free Facebook group if you haven't, the Chefpreneur Movement Facebook group. We'd love to have you in that group. And you can also send your questions to podcast@chefpreneurprogram.com. We'd love to look at your email and answer your questions right here on the podcast. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's podcast entitled Why You Shouldn't Focus on Getting More Inquiries Until You Master This One thing. Now, before I get into what that one thing is, I really want to just capitalize this and really get it to sink in your head that most of the time when I talk to people on the phone, I've talked to many of you, wanting to enroll in the program, the Chefpreneur program. I always ask them what they feel when they have a business, what their number one concern is, or what they want help with. And they always tell me getting more inquiries. And then if they haven't started a personal chef business yet, I always ask them, what do you feel like the number one thing you're scared of? And they're going to say, finding inquiries, getting leads, basically getting clients, right? This is the number one or even number two thing behind cost that you guys have told me that basically it's hindering you either starting this business, or if you already have your business, it's something you're struggling with. Now, here's the thing. I really want to make sure that this sinks in and you get and understand what I'm going to tell you today. Again, before we talk about the one thing that I believe you have to master, before you start focusing on inquiries, is I also don't want you to think that I'm not saying you need inquiries. Obviously, every business needs inquiries. Every business needs leads. But here's the thing. Inquiries and leads are like gasoline to a car. And the car is like your business. It's like the thing that you have to build first, okay? And then on top of it, the car has an engine, and the engine has to run, meaning the engine has to take the gasoline that you're going to put into it and burn it and actually turn on and allow the tires to move, okay? So here's the thing. The one thing that you have to master before you truly start focusing on more inquiries is how to sell your services. Let me repeat that. The one thing that you have to master is how to sell your services. It's like the engine in the car of your business. It's the thing that is going to burn the inquiries and take that gas, make it into an explosion, and move the wheels. Without the engine in a car, the gas does nothing. And this is the most important piece that I find that many of you are not focused on, and you have no idea how to do it. Let me just give you an example to this, okay? We've talked about it somewhat on this podcast, but I really want to dive in today on this very specific topic, because selling your services is far more important than getting more leads and inquiries. Because what good is an inquiry or a lead if you can't sell it and turn it into a paying customer? It makes no sense whatsoever. You can have 100 leads and you don't know how to sell, you will have 0 clients that booked you. The entire purpose of getting more inquiries or leads is to actually turn them into paying customers. And if you don't know how to sell your services, you never will attain paying customers. And I've said this before on the podcast that if you had a store, right, and you said, Chef, I have a store, it's downtown, there's 1,000 people walking by the store, so it's in a good location, and I have 500 of those 1,000 every day walk into my store and none of them buy, it doesn't matter if you had 5,000 walking by the store and you had 3,000 walking in the store. If they don't buy anything, those numbers don't mean anything. Meanwhile, maybe a store across the street has only 300 people walking by it, but only 100 people out of the 300 go into the store. But out of those 100 people, 20 of them buy something. Who's doing more business? The person who has 1,000 people walking by their store and over 500 walking in their store, or the person who only has 100 people walking in the store, but is selling 20 of those 100 that walked into the store. This is crucial in any business. And it's not just for big businesses. We all know that you need to sell, but most personal chefs and most chefs and cooks don't think about this. They think, hey, I started my personal chef business, or I want to start it. I'm going to start putting out stuff on Instagram. I'm going to take a bunch of pictures. I'm going to put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook. I'm going to stretch my net far and wide. And that's all they focus on. They start focusing on trying to get more fish in. The problem is they can't transfer those leads and inquiries into paying customers. So what good is it that you get more inquiries? If you get 10 phone calls a day, but you don't know how to close the deal, it doesn't matter if you get 20 phone calls a day. So I'm going to give you a couple pointers on some of the things that you really need to understand when selling your services. So get out a pencil and pen, or a paper, or whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it. Get out a pencil and paper, get out a pen and paper, whatever you need to do to take a couple notes. I'm going to give you some really good tips on how to sell your personal chef services. Number one, the entire conversation, the entire communication is not about you. It is not about you. It is about your customer. What is their need that you can fulfill? If you don't talk about that need, if you don't put them first, you won't win. Plain and simple. So many chefs on their Instagram post, on their Facebook post, even on their website, it's all about them. It's all about you. Talk about yourself. It's all about how you can do this, you can do that. You have this accreditation, you have this diploma, this degree, you have this. And honestly, nobody cares. Rule of thumb number one, it's not about you, it's about them. Okay? Rule number two, whenever you're selling somebody something, you have to be in control of the conversation. You have to start understanding that you are guiding them in booking your services, and this takes you has to be in control. You can't give them the control of the conversation. Now they're driving the conversation, and they don't know what to ask. They don't know what they're doing. You have to guide them. And when you look like the guide, when you look like the person on the ship that knows how to steer the ship, they'll trust you. And the more they trust you and the more that you build rapport with them, the likely that they are going to book you and hire you as opposed to another chef in your market, okay? I'm going to go down into depth of this stuff. And number three, you have to. One of the biggest things that I see is you have to, in my personal opinion, talk to somebody either over the phone or in person. This is something that's lost nowadays. Most people think, well, I want an app. I want people to automatically, book me on my website or whatever. I don't know what kind of crazy things that people think of. But when you're talking about a personal chef experience and you're talking about a personal chef business, what's the very first word in that statement? Personal. It has to be personal. This is the number one way that you can actually start converting inquiries and leads, is even just to talk to them on the phone. You don't necessarily have to meet them in person, but you have to talk to them on the phone. But I'm going to break down these 1, 2, 3 things that I just gave you a little bit further, and I'm going to give you a couple examples. So number one, like we talked about, it's not about you, it's about them. Let me give you an example of this. Let's say this is probably going to, resonate with a lot of you, because this is what a lot of you have told me. And if I was able to have a conversation with you right now, and I asked you, hey, when someone calls you for personal chef services, let's say, I'm just going to make someone up. Let's say James is a personal chef and he focuses on getting people to eat healthier and lose weight, right? And he offers some meal prep plans. Let's say someone sees his website or they see his Yelp profile, they give him a call, and James answers the phone. And James says, hello, hi, this is James. And the person says, hey, yeah, I'm looking for personal chef services. I saw your website, had a couple questions to ask you. Number one, usually this is where James is usually going to make a mistake. And he's going to say, yeah, what questions can I answer for you? You've now given them control of the conversation. They called you, and not only did they call you, now they're going to ask the questions. You've handed them over control. And what happens is you're not digging deep enough to find out what it is that they need. They're just going to ask questions, but what they need and the stuff of why they need it is still in their head. Okay? And so here's the deal. The conversation not only goes to them, they're in control now, but now they start asking you questions, which leaves it, like we talked about in the first part, it's going to be more about you than them. Because now they're asking questions about you and your services, and it's not about you. Okay? So let me break this down for you. If they would call James, they would start asking, because this is what happens, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can resonate with this. the client will say, "Hi, James. My name is so-and-so, and I'm looking for personal chef services. I saw your Yelp profile. I had a couple questions to ask you." "Yeah, sure. What can I help you with?" James says. And they say, "Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how does it all work? Like, what's all included? I didn't see any price on your website, and how much does a service cost? And you know, how does this all work?" And James says, "Well, the cost just depends on what you're looking for, but like, it's usually around $300. Depending on the size of the family." You see how it's just backpedaling, because again, the client is in control of the conversation, not Chef James is. So as he starts to dig himself in this deep hole, a lot of times the client, when left to their own demise, the client doesn't know what to ask. And so automatically, because of human nature, most clients will start asking about price, and you guys don't even have a relationship yet. You don't even have a relationship. They're just asking price, which means that they're going to book you based upon price, which is what I teach against on this podcast and in my program. So going back to this kind of scenario, the client will start to ask you, then you'll start to get to price. You'll start telling them about a price, that it depends and all this stuff. And the client's like, "Well, I have a family of 5. What do you think? Like, this is what we like. So you're telling me it would be, $300 plus. Well, that's a little bit more than what we were looking for and whatever." And then James starts to backpedal, and he starts to, negotiate, and there's negotiating going on. There's negotiating, and now someone's hiring you just based upon price, which keeps it off of what they need and what they want. And honestly, it makes you backpedal to scoop down to what their level is, and you haven't even explained how you can benefit their life, and you're not in control, and it's all about you now and your price, and that's the decision they're making upon, okay? And here's the deal. Most of this sometimes happens with emails, which is even worse, because in an email, they're able to hide behind a screen, and they're able to type in, "Hey, what are your costs? What are your prices? What or whatever." And here's the thing. It's already the kiss of death, because what are you going to do? Reply back to the email and saying, "Oh, let's talk first." They're going to get annoyed and be like, "No, I just want to know the price, buddy," because they're in control. Okay. So you have to understand, it's not about you, it's about them. And you have to figure out that information of what about them is making them want to book a personal chef. So I'm going to give you literally a masterclass lesson right now. So again, take out that pen, take out that piece of paper, and write this down. When someone calls you for personal chef services, let me show you the right way of how it should go down. Okay? Let's say, same example, Chef James, he does meal prep services for people who want to get healthier and lose weight. The client calls him up. "Hi, yes, I saw your profile on Yelp, and I'm giving you a call. I need some personal chef services." "Fantastic. Thank you so much for reaching out to me." Well, before we get into all this, I want to give you all the details, but before we get into that, can I ask you a few questions? Boom. Chef James now takes control of the conversation. He asks the client if he can ask some questions. Okay? The client's not going to be resistant, because now you've strong-armed them in a very polite and respectful way, saying, "Well, thank you so much for reaching out. But you know what? Perfect. Let me ask you a few questions so we can talk about the services I provide. Is that okay with you?" And the client's like, "Yeah, that sounds great." Okay, perfect. Boom. Now Chef James, number one, is in control. And now he can start asking questions based upon to figure out all about the client, not about himself. First question. "Hey, you know what? Why would you like personal chef services? Why are you looking for services?" Instead of saying, "Well, of course the guy's looking for services. How do I sell it to him?" No. Why are you wanting the services? That's the first question you should be asking. And the client's going to say, "Well, you know what? Me and my family, we're trying to get healthier. I work a lot of hours. My wife works a lot of hours, and we're just trying to eat healthier with me and the 2 kids. "Okay, perfect. So it's 2 adults and 2 kids. And is there anything specifically of why you're wanting to get healthier? Are you guys trying to hit some weight goals? Do you have a doctor's report that the doctor has given you that has kind of, scared you or led you into wanting to be, better, have a better diet and eat healthier?" "Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, my wife just got back from the doctor last week, and she's borderline diabetic. And we're a little bit nervous, and we got to really try to be healthier. And it's really hard because a lot of it, we don't have time, and we're not making the best decisions because we're picking up fast food and so forth and so on." And Chef James is like, "Well, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I'm here to help. Let's help your wife Now, get better and get that blood sugar, count down. And let's get that doctor's report to be reversed. Let's go in and give the doctor his own report. And I'd love to help you with that. So first of all, is there any favorite foods that the family likes or your wife likes? Is there any sinful, I guess you would say not diabetic friendly foods that she enjoys? And that's where you can start to really do what I call deep dive questions into the client. And what happens is as you start to know more about the pain points of why they're wanting to hire services, it's now you're in control, and now you know a lot about them, and you can now speak directly to how you want to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish. This is extremely powerful. Notice how in the entire beginning of the conversation, there's not price mentioned. Price doesn't exist. You start talking about now this person's, this gentleman who's calling you, his wife is borderline diabetic, and you're saying, I want to help her give the doctor his own report. Let's help her get off, possibly never get on medicine. Let's reverse those numbers. And let's also get the family to do it with her and eat alongside her and get healthier as a family as a whole. What happens is again, the focus is completely off of you. It's off of your credentials. It's off of your prices. It's off of all that garbage. You're only focused now on the customer. And when the client starts to feel like, wow, this person's focused, this chef is focused on me. See, in their mind now, they're thinking, I can't do this without Chef James. We cannot hit these goals without hiring Chef James. Subconsciously in their head, this is how they're rolling now. This is how it is. And you're continuing to stay in control of the conversation. Hey, you know what? These are some favorite foods that your wife likes that are she loves French fries. That's one of her guilty pleasures. And, she'll pick up McDonald's French fries. Okay, you know what? And you're writing all this stuff down. And you maybe start coming up with some ideas. You know what? We can do some baked sweet potato fries. And I can do a homemade ketchup that's low glycemic. And I use, honey instead of sugar or whatever, right? And you start brainstorming some of the stuff, and you get the client excited about how you can help them and the goals that they're trying to achieve and why they're wanting to hire a personal chef in the first place. As you go through the process, at the very end is usually sometime, I find it with my own clients that 80% of the time they don't even ask about the price, right? And I won't go into the next steps that happen after the selling part, but this is a huge crucial step in you setting up and setting the pace for taking that inquiry and now making someone a really, really hot lead instead of just an inquiry. They're now thinking, man, I really want to work with Chef James. This guy spoke to me. This guy, I can really feel that this chef really wants to help my wife and my family get healthier. And that's where you have them turn the corner. And this is the beginning stages of how you master sales in your personal chef business to turn those inquiries and leads into paying customers. And when you do that, then honestly, after you learn this stuff, after you learn and master sales, then that's where you want to put the floodgates of inquiries and leads to come in, because now you know how to convert those leads into paying customers. Okay? This is very vital. The phone conversation is huge. I highly recommend you setting up a phone call with your clients. If you don't do that right now in your personal chef business, or you never thought of it, that's one thing that I highly suggest you do. Like we talked about, number one, it can't be about you. It's all about them. You have to figure, and how do you know about them? You have to ask those questions, which means number two, you have to be in control. So again, going back to the 3 points, number one, you have to make it all about them. It's not about you. Number two, you have to be in control of the conversation. And number three, that conversation should take place on a phone call. If you follow just these three steps, I guarantee you, if you're already a personal chef, you're going to increase your bookings by probably 50% or more. Now, in the Chefpreneur program masterclass, the masterclass I've designed, which is a full program designed to literally teach you from start to finish how to start this business, how to grow this business, how to run this business. We go much more into depth about what happens after that and the exact process, 12-step process I use to actually close the deal, where I actually have a 94.6% booking rate, or close rate, as you would say in sales. So that means over 9 out of 10 inquiries I actually book. They become paying customers. But this, if you just follow these 3 steps, if you just follow what I just taught you, you're well on your way to starting to learn how to master sales, which then actually makes getting more inquiries and leads that much more important, because inquiries and leads without being able to close the deal mean absolutely nothing. I hope this podcast helped all of you understand how important sales is and how you shouldn't be focusing on inquiries until you master sales. Okay. So again, the Chefpreneur podcast, we are here to motivate, educate, and inspire chefs to take a stand for their personal freedom by breaking the chains of a kitchen job and building their own empire. We believe the future is yours and you can put it into your own hands. Hey, we want to remind you to download our free ebook, which is the ultimate guide for starting your personal chef business. If you head on over to becomeachefpreneur.com, that's becomeachefpreneur.com. You can put your name and email and we'll send it right out to you. It's a great resource. It's where you first want to start. If you're really looking to start a personal chef business, that's where you should start. Get this free ebook today. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Chefpreneur in the YouTube search bar. You'll see our channel there. Make sure you subscribe to it. We're always uploading the podcast every week onto there, as well as other videos that are going to help you, learn about how to run, how to start, how to grow your personal chef business. Also, like I said before, join our free Facebook group. Go to Facebook, search the Chefpreneur Movement. It's a Chefpreneur Movement Facebook group. It's completely free. We ask you a few questions to join, but it's totally free. You get into the community where you'll be with other like-minded chefs and cooks that are wanting to start a personal chef business or already have one. It's a great resource for you to be in there, ask questions, get to know people, and be in a community of other like-minded chefs and cooks. Hey, again, I'm Chef Andres Hinojosa. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Chefpreneur podcast. I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. I hope you guys have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Chefpreneur podcast, where we want to educate, motivate, and inspire as many chefs to become their own boss. Please subscribe to the podcast and join us every week to be part of the movement. To sign up for our free online web class, visit thechefpreneurwebinar.com.